What if Ahsoka Tano joined Anakin Skywalker on Umbara? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. Ahsoka, Captain Rex, and the 501st watch as Anakin's gunship departs for Coruscant, leaving them under the command of General Pong Krell. The hulking Jedi wastes no time ordering the 501st to break camp and marching towards the Umbaran capital to take it head-on. Krell sets a difficult pace, marching through the night across jungles and rocky terrain. Rex suggests they rest before continuing the advance, but the Jedi Master remains adamant that they continue their march.
Master, with all due respect, the clones won't be any good if they're dead on their feet. We've already crossed the roughest terrain.
Krell looks over at her, slightly surprised. Then he dismisses Rex and approaches her.
Padawan, I understand that my leadership is different from General Skywalker, but we are at war. This battle can only be won with disciplined and decisive action. That will require making some changes to how we do things.
I understand that, Master, but they're still only human.
Do you, Padawan? This isn't some simple scuffle with pirates and mindless droids. We face a foe who is intelligent and dangerous. To defeat them, we must be prepared to risk their lives and accept that many of them may not return. Is that something you are willing to accept?
Yes, Master.
Very well. They rest for a bit, but then have the CT-7567 lead the advanced guard in 3 hours.
Hours later, Rex and a platoon of clones advance down the main road. The rest of the unit remains behind, with Krell commanding reserves. However, Rex's unit soon comes under fire as hundreds of Umbarans pour out from the jungles or on the streets. They leap from the trees and snipe at clones, while artillery fire rains down on them from hidden tanks and fighters. Ahsoka prepares to help them, but Krell pulls her back.
We are not soldiers like these clones. We are Jedi. Leave the fighting to them, and focus on leading.
Rex manages to rally his troops and retreats to find a better position. Seeing this, Krell is infuriated and orders the rest of the unit to support them. Once the Umbarans are driven back, Krell berates Rex for his failures and even threatens Fives when he criticizes that plan. Ahsoka is unable to bring herself to remain silent.
Master, we lost a lot of troopers in the attack, without anything to show for it. Maybe it's time we reevaluate our strategy. We might not be soldiers, but we are protectors of life. All life.
Krell looks at Ahsoka, and then at the troopers. He then concedes to Rex and Ahsoka's points, saying that their opinions have been noted. Suddenly, blaster fire and artillery bursts out from the roads as the Umbarans resume their attack. While General Krell heads to their rear lines, Ahsoka finally joins the battle. She leaps onto a ruined AT-RT and blocks the incoming blaster fire. Even as artillery rains all around her, she remains where she is and allows the wounded to escape. Umbaran starfighters begin emerging from the forests and rain fire on them. Ahsoka's eyes widen and leaps back just as a missile nearly hits her. She watches in horror as clones are tossed aside. The anger builds up in her, and when one fighter gets too close, she slams it into a tree using the Force. The fighter goes up in a pillar of flames and forces the others to back off, giving the clones a moment's reprieve. That's all they need as a message from Obi-Wan orders them to retreat and capture a nearby airbase to prevent the capital from receiving any reinforcements. The 501st manages to withdraw, heading to the relative safety of the jungles. Despite just coming from a battle, Krell refuses to let up and continues to push the 501st, marching to the airbase. This time, Ahsoka insists on supporting the attack against the airbase. Krell has a different job for her. He says he's received intelligence that some of the defeated Umbaran troops from the initial battle have regrouped and now threaten their rear. Ahsoka is to take several squads and prevent them from outflanking them. Although reluctant to leave Rex and Fives, she sees the danger. Ahsoka's unit marches through the forest they had just come from, using Krell's intel of the Umbaran's last known location. As they march, Ahsoka sees how many soldiers they lost and feels the frustration building in her. This type of conflict stirs different emotions in her: anger, frustration, and doubt. They're not just directed at the Umbarans, but also at Krell. While Anakin's tactics were often daring and risky, he'd at least shared the burden with his troops. Whenever the fighting starts, Krell is nowhere to be seen. They head deeper into the forest and find small pockets of Umbarans who quickly fall to them. Those who don't are quickly driven back. However, Ahsoka remains cautious until she hears the sounds of skittering across the ground. Dozens of millicreep assassin droids come skittering from the trees.
It's a trap. Get into the open.
The nearest clones get electrocuted by their stingers, but Ahsoka slices the droids apart while the clones retreat. As they threaten to overwhelm her, she then joins her retreating troopers into the clearing where they can get a better view of the droids. She uses the Force to crush the remaining assassin droids, but the relief is short-lived as the ground gives way underneath them, and 2 Centipillar tanks burst out from the ground and pour fire at her troops. One of those tanks rises right under Ahsoka's feet as she nearly falls off before catching onto the barrel of a turret. The tank skitters across the clearing, moving in opposite directions to cut off the clones. Their blaster cannons cut down dozens of clones.
Fall back to the trees. Get on the branches and stay off the ground.
The Jedi swings on the barrel, lifts herself to the top of the tank, and springs towards the front, slicing through the barrels of the tank. When she sees the cockpit, Ahsoka reaches for a thermal detonator and throws it through the door. She leaps onto the trees just as the tank bursts into flames. Beside her, Kix aims at the second tank. His rocket hits right at the cockpit and sends it up in flames.
Something's not right here. These guys are too well armed to be just remnants of an army.
Ahsoka agrees with that. Something was off here. The Umbarans are too well prepared. She lost nearly a third of her troops to that ambush and decided it was too risky to keep going. Instead, she orders Kix and the others to hang back while she scouts ahead. Proceeding to the forest alone, she spots one of the millicreep droids skittering away. She follows it, thinking it will lead her to the rest of the Umbarans. The droid skitters to a group of trees clustered together. When Ahsoka gets close, a group of Umbarans suddenly emerge from the hollowed-out tree trunks, wielding vibroblades and electrostaffs. They all rush and try to swarm her. She manages to block the initial attacks, and then counters by cutting down 2 of the attackers. The rest back away as Ahsoka advances, swinging her lightsaber and catching a third in her swings. 2 try to thrust their staffs at her, but she slices them apart and takes them out too. Suddenly, their leader scores a blow on her, hitting her square in the chest with his staff. Ahsoka drops to her knees as electricity courses through her. The leader follows up by smashing his staff against her cheek and sending her sprawling. The other Umbarans ready their blasters as she tries to block their attacks. Before they finish her, blaster fire pours out from the trees and forces the Umbarans to turn their attention to the new threat. Ahsoka takes this chance to tackle their leader and pin him against the tree. Kix and the other clones emerge and finish off the remaining Umbarans.
Commander, are you hurt?
I thought I told you to hold your position.
Yeah, but with all due respect, I got tired of obeying stupid orders.
With the remaining Umbarans dealt with, they head back to base. Before they arrive, Ahsoka receives a code message from Rex, asking her to redirect her troops to his position. As they approach, they find a battlefield strewn with the bodies of fallen clones from the 501st and the 212th. Oddly enough, there are no Umbaran bodies. But her confusion turns to horror as Rex reveals what happened. General Krell ordered them to attack a group of Umbarans disguised as clones. However, they discovered that this had all been a lie, and Krell deceived them and tried to get them to kill each other. Ahsoka can hardly believe the news. She tries to reason that there has to be another explanation, but one look from Rex is all it takes for her to realize that there isn't. Everything he says is true.
We all know who's responsible for what happened out there. What we don't know is why. Something has to be done. What I'm proposing is highly treasonous. If any man chooses to opt out, do it now.
Every clone steps forward, including Kix and the others. Ahsoka joins them and nods her head, giving Rex a salute.
This point forward, we are entering uncharted territory. My orders are, we arrest General Krell for treason against the Republic.
All the clones shout in agreement. and head back to the command post to confront Krell. Ahsoka is the last one to leave the elevator as Rex tries to get Krell to surrender. But without warning, Krell ignites his dual double-bladed lightsabers, the blue and green blades casting an ominous glow. The clones open fire, but Krell moves with blinding speed, cutting down several troopers in quick succession. He charges at them, getting close and hacking them apart. Ahsoka leaps forward, her lightsabers clashing with Krell's in a flurry of sparks and energy. The general is faster than he looks and anticipates each move she makes before she makes them. He pushes each blow aside and drives her back. In desperation, she tries to spin, turning her lightsabers, but Krell reaches out and grabs her by the throat. Growling, he hurls her towards Rex. The clones try to provide cover fire, but Krell's relentless assault makes it impossible for them to get a clear shot. One by one, they fall, their cries echoing through the command post. Ahsoka leaps back and lands a few glancing blows, but with a final devastating strike, he sends her flying across the room, her lightsabers skidding out of her grasp. Krell takes the opportunity to leap out the window and sprint towards the jungle. Rex gathers the survivors and hurries down after him, but they are stopped by Dogma.
Hold it right there! Lower your weapon, Dogma. I can't do that, sir. That's an order. It's my duty. You're all traitors! I used to believe that being a good soldier meant doing everything they told you. That's how they engineered us. But we're not droids. We're not programmed. You have to learn to make your own decisions.
Ahsoka steps forward and approaches with her hands raised. She gestures for Rex and the others to go ahead while she talks to him.
But he was our general.
Maybe once, but not anymore. Krell doesn't serve the Republic anymore. He's not one of us. We don't just fight the Republic, we fight for peace. That is more important than you can imagine. More important than any orders.
I understand.
Can I trust you to help us then?
Yes, Commander.
The two trudge through the undergrowth, which was alive with strange sounds and glowing flora. They lost contact with Captain Rex, but know Krell's close. Suddenly, a rustling noise catches their attention. They turn to find Tup stumbling through the trees. He moves to join them as Ahsoka leads the way.
We can't fight him head on. He's too powerful. We need to use the jungle to our advantage.
Soon after, they hear the sound of fighting as Krell finishes off another squad of clones. Ahsoka ignites her lightsabers and rushes after him. Krell emerges from the shadows, his eyes blazing with fury.
Foolish girl. I had thought that the Umbarans would have dealt with you. But I suppose killing you will be a bonus to Count Dooku after the Republic loses this battle.
He rushes towards her, but Ahsoka blocks his attack. The two exchange a set of thrusts and cuts before pulling back, though not before Ahsoka manages to land a shallow blow on one of Krell's arms. The huge Jedi hisses in pain.
How are you still alive?
Because unlike you, the clones have loyalty.
Ahsoka backs away, first at a walk, then a run as she leads Krell to Tup and Dogma both fire rocket launchers. Rather than hit him directly, the projectile hits the trees around him. The trees groan and splinter, crashing down towards Krell. He slices through the fallen trunks and leaps out of the way, slowing him down and waking the sleeping banshees on the trees. A group of them. These quickly swarm around him, lifting him off the ground and biting at him. He swings his lightsabers wildly, killing a few and trying to scare them away, but the sound alerts Captain Rex to their position. He and the other troopers fire at him again, scaring off the banshees. But Krell summons the Force and sends the clones and Ahsoka off their feet. The rogue Jedi leaps down and prepares to finish off Rex, but a few stray blaster shots turn his attention towards Tup, who stands a few feet away. Krell snarls and rushes after him, but his foot snags on the tentacle of a Vixis, which snatches him up and waves him around. The Vixis roars ominously and tries to snatch him with his tongue, but the Jedi slices it apart. That is until Ahsoka rips his lightsabers from his hands using the Force. Rex and the others hurry to join them and take aim at the creature.
Come on, let's take him in.
Suddenly, Ahsoka raises her hand.
No. Let the thing have him.
That seems like a fate too good for him.
The others look at Ahsoka in shock, but Ahsoka's face seems adamant. Slowly, they lower their blasters and watch as Krell is tossed around and finally devoured. Ahsoka suddenly turns back and begins walking to the base, holding up his lightsabers.
If anyone asks, we'll say that Krell was killed by the wildlife when trying to escape. This is our proof.
Days later, the rest of the Republic forces finally manage to capture the capital, bringing the battle to an end. However, that victory is soured by the revelation of Krell's betrayal. Anakin contacts Ahsoka after the battle.
Snips, I heard everything. Are you okay?
Let's just say that this battle brought out the worst side in a lot of us.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.